Hello, and welcome to the Salvation from Destruction podcast. On today's episode, I'll be talking to a retired police officer with over 30 years experience. 23 of those years were spent investigating child exploitation cases. He's arrested over 500 online predators. He was a SWAT team sniper. He authored the state of Illinois swatting and child exploitation law. He's been highlighted on TED Talk and various other news platforms. And he's the owner of Be Sure Consulting and cyberparenting-101.com. So I'd like to welcome to the show, Rich Wistocki. How you doing, buddy?
Thank you, my brother. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Of course. I just want to dive right in because I took your class several years ago when I was a detective, when I was coming on, and it was just packed full. That could have been a 2-week class. It was just packed full of so much information. I just want to highlight it. And thanks for coming on.
Sure.
So, where did you grow up? Let's start from the beginning. And how did you get into law enforcement?
So I grew up in Summit, Illinois, which is a border city of Chicago. My grandfather was a police officer. My godfather was a police officer. And so, I had all these role models in my life. I'm a good old Catholic schoolboy. I went to St. Joseph, St. Lawrence, St. Xavier for college. So when I was at St. Xavier, I was working in security at the Chicago Tribune, and I was a canine handler there. And while I was doing that, and I turned 21, I became a part-time police officer in Summit. So I worked part-time, just on the weekends and holidays and festivals and stuff like that, while I was in college. And then when I graduated college, I took the test and I made it and went to the academy in 88. And was a police officer there for a year. Well, what happened was I knew a lot of the players in Summit. I knew the gangbangers. I knew the drug dealers. So I knew who they were, and I went after them, and they knew who I was. So they sent me a message one night. I was with my fiance at the time, and they shot out on the windows of my car in front of my house.
Really?
And my fiance at the time was like, "I'm out. I'm not living this life. If this is what it's going to be like, I don't want to marry you. I don't want this life. I don't want to live in this town," because we had a residency requirement, right? At the time.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feverishly was testing everywhere. Downers Grove, Westmont, State Police, Naperville, Darien, Feds, anywhere I can test, I tested for the next 6 months. So I took the first thing that came, and that was Naperville. I remember in Naperville in 1989, I was sitting in this auditorium with 1,500 other people. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to get hired. I'm too dumb to get hired in this big, beautiful city, right? And lo and behold, I was number 13.
Wow.
So I got hired in 1990. And I spent 4.5 years in patrol. And so then in 1995, I got the opportunity to put in for a juvenile detective's position. So I put in for it. I got it. When I became an investigator in 1998, we had a subject come in from Brentwood, Tennessee. And that's like the bougie part of Tennessee outside of Nashville. And he drove all the way up to Naperville, picked a 13-year-old up at the corner of her block, took her to a hotel, raped her, thank God I didn't kill her, and let her go back home. So this was back in 1998, mind you. Like Nobody had phones, right? We had pagers, and that was it. So mom and dad brought her to the lobby in Naperville Police Department. I'm the new detective, so tag, you're it. Go ahead, go get him, mister. So I met with the parents, and he met her on this thing, and maybe some of your audience probably won't even know what this is, America Online. So I'd say that joke,
right?
Teaching young SROs, right? And they're like, yeah, I don't know. I've never heard of America Online.
Right. That little dial up,
Right. So AOL, and we didn't know what IPs were. We didn't know what geolocation. We didn't know what metadata was. We didn't know what, any of that stuff was that we now know, intimately. So Mike Sullivan, who just came out of DUMEG, he went back to investigations, and he suggested that why don't we do this like an undercover, right? So why don't you take over her account, take over her identity, become her, so we won't have any entrapment issues, and then see what happens. So I said, all right. So I changed all her passwords. I took over her account, became her. 2 weeks later, dude starts talking to me.
Really?
So yeah. And then 6 months later, he planned another trip, but this time he met my SWAT team, and that was the start of our internet crimes unit. So we started having all these undercover personas, and guys were just coming out of the woodwork trying to have sex with kids. And we were seeing the same type of stuff. So we started our own mini task force, helping each other out, learning about talking to Comcast, talking to AOL, talking to Yahoo, to find out what we need to get and what information they have, right? So we were just fumbling through the night trying to figure out what we were doing. And the only case law we were following was drug case law, because that's where you do undercover stuff, right?
Mm.
So then in 2000, the Department of Justice came up with this new task force called the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, right? And currently today, there's over 6,000 practicing ICAC people. There are 61 ICAC outlets in the United States. Illinois has 2, one with Cook County, one with the Attorney General's office. I was part of the Attorney General's office since its inception. And so we started getting all this great training from all the social networks, from AOL, from Yahoo, from Comcast, from, MySpace. And then when I learned about MySpace, which was kind of like the mainstream first social network, really, MySpace hired me as their brand ambassador. So I was their law enforcement connection to the ICAC. So I wrote a lot of their policy according to the Electronics Communications Privacy Act. So I'm getting the cutting edge information on what they want people to know. So I was kind of like the filter to get it out to law enforcement. So I was teaching for Northeast Multi-Regional Training. And throughout the state, I was writing, basic internet crime investigation classes, in addition to my duties in Naperville. In 2009, the Chicago Tribune read an article in the headline. The headline said, "Why are there so many predators in Naperville?"
Because you're catching them all.
Okay. You know why? Because we're the only ones that are looking.
Right.
If everybody else knew what they were looking for, they would make arrests too. So I found that quite humorous. When you're starting an ICAC, your mission is fourfold. Number one, you have to train the people in that county, right? So you have to bring, as a state's attorney's investigator, you can't originate a case in the state of Illinois. You can get a case, but it has to be worked by that agency. And because what the law says in the state of Illinois is that you cannot originate cases. You can only help a state's attorney investigator. You can only help those jurisdictions in your jurisdiction. And we would work the case in tandem with them, but it was their case, it was their arrest. Okay, so in 4 years of doing this, we arrested over 100 predators in 4 years, just in Will County alone.
Wow.
And so the first thing you do, you train others on what we do. Number two, you have to go in the schools and train students and parents. Number three, you do cyber tips coming from the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children. And number four, you work peer-to-peer child pornography cases. So those were our 4 missions, right? So at the end of 4 years, we arrested 100 predators. So I went back to Naperville. I wanted to develop a program that was easy, that was online, that was training. I wanted to have my training for parents and kids in there so they can watch videos and take a test. And it's just growing and growing and growing and growing. But one of the biggest things we ran across is vaping, right?
Really?
The biggest problem in schools right now is the vaping problem, because big tobacco created this problem and targeted teenagers with all the jewels and the the vapes and stuff like that. And what happened is that it has a high level of nicotine. So what happens? Our kids get addicted, right? So now, like heroin addicts, our teenagers are addicted to nicotine. How are kids buying drugs now, right?
Right.
They go on Snapchat, they find a Snapchat drug dealer, they order up, and then it gets delivered to them like Uber Eats at the corner of their block in an hour. That's how kids are buying drugs. They're not going to the West Side anymore. They are not going to somebody's house. It's being brought to them like Uber Eats. I would teach in all the Naperville schools. I would teach all the kids. And here's just another side note. My thought process was, so if I train students on what predators do and how to report it, and I train their parents how to watch their kids, I'm going to get more cases, right? Because account takeovers are just so easy. A real kid establishes that relationship. Right. No, I'm just taking it over. And there's no qualms about entrapment because I didn't start the conversation. I didn't finish the conversation. The bad guy wants to meet for sex, right? So with a 12-year-old. So that's how I was doing my cases there and in Will County. I'm teaching, when I'm teaching, I said, I'm going to get more cases if I teach in the schools. The only thing that was going on was my self-initiated. All the reported cases were getting cut in half. Here's what happened. The more you train students, the more you train parents, the less victimization you will have.
Ah, okay.
Because I'm telling them what predators do. I'm telling parents how to monitor their kids' stuff so they're not becoming victims. Hey, I'll take that win, right?
Yeah,
so when
absolutely.
I presented, this is how we stop child exploitation in our schools, right? So in 2010, I created Be Sure Consulting. Now it's my cybersafe school. And Be Sure Consulting, I named it that because I always found myself, you can't trust your kids when it comes to social media. You have to be sure yourself. So I call it Be Sure Consulting.
I want to pull a thread on that with you because you are definitely the subject expert on that.
Sure.
I have two teenagers myself that are on their phones, that are online, that are playing games. If you're just talking to the layperson, what are some of the threats that kids are facing nowadays, and how can parents and how can kids protect themselves online?
One internet predator, just one, can have up to 250 victims in their lifetime. 250. So when parents allowing their children to charge their devices in their rooms at night, you're sleeping. They shut the door so you can't hear them. There's no need to talk. It's typing, reading, and performing, right?
Mm-hmm. And if, say, some parents is not really tech savvy, what are some things that they could look out for, like with their kids? You know what I mean? What are some things that they could tell their kids?
So Bark is the premier software. We have judges, prosecutors, clergy, psychologists, ER doctors, and we all make up the Bark team. And we did this thing called Childhood 2.0. It's on YouTube. It's an hour and a half and it's free. And this is where parents can get training on what they should and shouldn't be doing. Okay. So a lot of times, like police departments will feature Bark at their local movie house, and they'll show the motion picture for an hour and a half, and the Bark team members will be there on Zoom. So parents have to understand that there's no such thing as privacy for children. They are responsible for everything their kid does. And when parents make the two biggest mistakes ever, when you allow your child to charge their device in their rooms at night, and when your child changes the code on the device that they're using to lock you out, something is wrong.
Right?
Something is wrong. You have to ask yourself, why did they lock me out? We want our kids to have everything. And the biggest mistake they make is they give their kids an Apple iPhone. Apple believes that 13-year-olds, that 9-year-olds, that 10-year-olds should have their own privacy away from their parents. Bark has just put out the Bark phone last year. You have total remote control. It's a high-end Android. You pay $45 a month, and you get everything. Their searches, their text messages. When it violates the standards, like that's why it's called Bark, it'll bark at you if something's in violation. Whether your kid sent something out or your kid's receiving something, it'll take a screen capture and it'll text the parent. Hey, just so you know, we caught this.
That's amazing because I have two teenagers and my wife and I don't care to the point, like, and they know now that we'll just walk in their room and they'll just, they won't even be on their phones. They'll just, whether they're doing their homework, whatever, they'll just go, here you go. Yeah. And my wife and I will go through their phones and it's not too often, but they know, and there's times even now, I just want to chit chat with my kids. And just go in the rooms, just do a buddy check with them. Hey, how are you? And I'll walk in, and they'll both go, "Here you go." I'm like, "No, well, I just want to say hi. How are you? I just want to check in with you." What are some apps that parents should really be kind of aware of if they see their kids on them, or are there certain ones that pop up in your mind that really are really dangerous to kids?
Yeah. So let me get down to the basic here for you. Let me share my screen.
Yeah, go ahead.
So for all your listeners here, you can go ahead and scan this. This is my code, and it'll dump all my contacts into your phone. So like if you want to take your phone out right now and scan this, it'll dump all my contacts in there. So
Really?
I want to be available to all the parents because I get parents call me every week. It's what they do, and they have nobody to call. So in order for me to catch that predator, time is of the essence. So I need to show them what to do. So I showed them the 5 pieces of evidence they need to grab. So in addition to that, so these are the things that I cover. Let me show you. Here are the 5 pieces of evidence that they need to give. I need screen captures of everything. I need the user ID. I need the telephone number or the gamer tag or the email address. And the biggest mistake school officials and law enforcement make, they'll tell the parent, oh, just report to the social network. They'll take care of everything. That is the worst advice you can give anyone. Because this is what happens. And this is the biggest mistake people make. When you report it to the social network before you report it to the police, right? What happens is it goes to their terms of service, their community standards people, right? And so it goes into a queue. Someone from their team will read it. If it violates community standards, they'll delete that account.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's say it happens 2 or 3 more times and the parent gets pissed off and they're going to say, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go to the police. They're going to take a police report on it. So the police department, the patrol officer takes a report. It goes down to investigations. How long does that take? 3 days to a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
By the time the detective prioritizes it, it's already been deleted over there. So they're going to send a subpoena or search warrant on that account. What are they going to get back? Nothing, because they already deleted it. So if they don't want the police involved, then by all means report to abuse. So then we need to have them to make a detailed type statement as to what happened and how it made them feel. Okay. So we're going to take that information and we have to upload it to something called the law enforcement portal. So now all the social networks have a special credentialed law enforcement portal that we make our request through and we download the information from. Okay. So then I need the parents to take everything that I just asked for, the chat, the profile, what she said, what he said, the pictures, the videos, screen capture, everything, print it out, make it a file, put it on a flash drive. Not 1 flash drive, 2 flash drives. We need to take in the printouts and that flash drive. Why a flash drive? Because we need to plug that into our computer so we can upload it to the portal so we can give them the information and we get the information faster. So this slide right here is the reason why kids talk to predators. Just a slide. So when I go teach in schools, I'll teach elementary and middle school, right? So when I'm teaching 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, how old are they?
4th, 5th, and 6th, probably 10, 11 years old.
Yeah, they're 9, 10, 11 years old, right? So then I'll ask them, where are my 9-year-olds? Yeah. Where are my 10-year-olds? Yeah. Where are my 11-year-olds? Yeah. Where are my 12-year-olds? Yeah. So I got them all here, right? How many guys are in Snapchat? Yeah. How many guys are in TikTok? Yeah. How many guys are in Discord? Yeah. How many guys got Insta? Yeah. Everybody raise their hand. Do you know that you have to be 13 years of age in order to be in there?
Yep.
You got to be 13. So I'm like, wait a minute. How are you guys in there when you got to be 13? Oh, you must have lied about your ages, didn't you? And they're like, boo. So I said, how many of you guys whined and whined and whined until your parents gave in and let you have a Snapchat? I'll get 10 kids raising their hands. How many of you did it behind your parents' back and you didn't even care what they thought? Everybody else raises their hands, right? So this is what you made a decision on. I'm not going to do anything wrong on Snapchat. All my brothers and sisters have it. My older brothers and sisters have it. Everybody at school's got it. Why can't I have it? That's stupid. I'm not going to do anything wrong. I'm just going to download it. So they go to TikTok. They download TikTok, right? They put their name in. They put their email in. They put their phone number in. Oh, wait. I got to put my date of birth in. So what happens is they're like, wait a minute. I was born in 2014. Do I go up with my date of birth to be 13 or do I go down with my date of birth? Screw it. I don't want to figure it out. I'm not going to do the math. I'm just going to put in 2000. That'll get me in. So I asked them, how many put in 2000? Because you want to figure out the math? 75% raised their hand.
Wow.
How old are they today?
25. Oh, actually, no.
25 now. So who do you think is going to come talk to them because they're all acting like 25-year-olds?
Right.
Who's going to come talk to them? Adults, because they're 25. Who's going to send them naked pictures? Adults, because they're 25. Who's going to ask your kid to take naked pictures of themselves? Adults, because they're 25. So when I train my SROs and my detectives, right, you don't have a case until you can establish through chat or pictures or video that your suspect knew that they were 13, 14 years old.
It's true.
Because they're telling everybody that they're 25. This is the reason why. So I make parents go back, sit with your kids. And you know, the technology talk, when I was in Freeport this year, look at all those 25-year-old fourth graders.
That's right.
All of them had Snapchat. But the worst possible thing that parents do is that they don't know how to have a technology talk with their kids. So I'll ask the kids, how many of your parents had a technology talk with you when something like this? If you take bad pictures, if you go places you're not supposed to, if you talk to strangers, if you get out bad information, I'm going to ground you. You're going to take your phone away. You're going to flip phone. You're not going to hang out with your friends. That's what parents do. They threaten their kids with their technology. So then I ask the follow-up question to my students. So if you got catfished or maybe you made a bad decision, are you going to go to your parents with that? They're like, oh, hell no.
Right.
They're going to handle it all with their 25-year-old brain, right?
Oh.
That's what they're going to do, and that's what gets them into trouble. So I have to show parents how to have a technology talk with their kids. That you need to go back to your kids and say, look, I heard this guy speaking at school the other day. Remember when mom and dad told you we're going to do this to you, we're going to do that to you, we're going to do this to you? I want you to throw that all out the window. Because we know that we're responsible for you. We know that there are people out there that'll try to get you to do things. If anything happens because we're responsible for you, you need to come to us. If you come to us before we find out about it, we're going to give you this golden ticket and there will be no consequences at all because we're responsible for you. So the biggest part of my job is to teach parents how to parent in technology. And then I'll go on to show them Childhood 2.0. I'll show a little trailer in that. And I get them, I say, if you think your kid can handle the content, so I want you to watch it before you show your kid this. If you think your kid can handle the content, then be able to pause it on your TV and say, tell me what you know about this. Don't do this. Pause. You're not doing this, are you? What do you think they're going to say? No, Mom. Right. But kids love to show parents how much they know, right? Tell me what you know about this. Well, I heard Jimmy and Sarah when they were on a sleepover and this and that happened and this and that happened. That's when you're going to get your intel, when you have a solid technology talk with your kids.
Good point.
The biggest predator site right now, let me stop my share here, is Roblox. It is the biggest predator site in the world because younger and younger kids play it, and they opened up chat for people who play the game to interact with predators. It is the biggest predator site because they'll take them off of the game and they'll take them to Discord. Well, they will groom them and sexually abuse them.
That's crazy. How explain Discord too?
So Discord was very smart in their marketing. So they've been around for about 7 years. Let me put it this way. What was that one place when you and I were growing up with the internet? What was that one place online that was really dangerous and schools, law enforcement, and the media told us, don't go there, it's dangerous?
Just regular chat rooms, right?
Chat rooms. Why were chat rooms dangerous?
Yeah, because you could just go there. You don't know who you're talking to, and it could be anybody that you're talking to, and you can talk about anything.
You can take over your computer by clicking this and clicking that, right? Really dangerous. Make no mistake, Discord is a chat room for gamers. And they knew if a parent would question your kid, hey, what's this Discord thing you're into? Well, it's a chat room for gamer, Mom. Chat rooms? Oh, hell no, you're not going in there. But they changed the language. Now you ask the kid, what do you do in this Discord thing? Well, I make my own server, Mom. So to adults, what is the server room at work?
Where all the computers are fed to.
Can anybody go in there?
Well, not really. I mean, some places can, but
people go in there, right?
Yeah, the IT people. I wouldn't even know what I was doing in there.
So, right. So when a parent asks a kid, what are you doing in Discord? Well, I make my own server.
Right.
And they never question it. So it is a chat room. There are Discord created rooms based on the game that you play. There are private chat rooms. It's a place where they will go and get other players to play with them on Call of Duty. But there's also private chat in there. So what these predators are doing, they're taking these kids that they meet on the games over to Discord private chat, and they got them.
Man.
Yep.
And that's one of the main reasons why I'm doing this, is just to, like I said, inform parents, inform people on what's going on, out there. Did you have any other suggestions, any other things that they could do besides just checking on them? Any other?
Well, I mean, again, if you have an opportunity, if any of your your followers out there are thinking about getting their kid a phone, make it an Android or a Bark phone, because it'll monitor everything. You'll get a peace of mind. Will show you how to have that conversation of why you're monitoring. And the whole 14-year-old, 13-year-old thing is enough, because you put yourself out there. I got to know, I'm responsible for you. In order for you to have a phone, now most kids don't want Androids because they can't iMessage with an iPhone. Well, they're talking on Snapchat anyways, right? They're going to Snapchat and those are things. And the one biggest thing that's going on right now is vaults, where kids are hiding the most horrible pictures and videos of themselves. The biggest one we're having a problem with right now is My Eyes Only on Snapchat. Okay, let me show you how to get there. So what happens is, I'll go to my Snapchat. So I can dial it in here.
Yep.
See Snapchat? Right. So I'll go to Snapchat. Okay, it looks like that. See that little deck of cards to the left of the snap button?
Mm-hmm.
See that? I'm going to click on that. And then this is what that looks like. So you go to the top, it'll say home, camera roll, dream, screenshots. Watch what happens when I do this with my finger. Let me see if I can. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go. See, it says My Eyes Only.
Yep.
When you click on My Eyes Only, if there's a pad there, that means they already set up their vault. If it says click here to set up your My Eyes Only, they have not set it up. This is where they're hiding the most horrible sexual pictures of themselves and others that they keep. And I have to tell parents, look, if you find this, your kids are going to lie to you. This is what they're going to say. I don't know what that is. Oh, I set that up a long time ago. Oh, that just came with the phone. Maybe somebody else set it up. They're lying to you. They know what that 4-digit code is. And that's where you're going to find the most horrible pictures that they have in their possession.
The other thing I wanted to touch on too is, I know that you're stopping school shootings, and that's a big thing right now.
It is a big thing.
It is a huge thing. I still have kids in high school. I worry about them all the time, whether they go in grammar schools, high schools, colleges. It's a hot topic, So go ahead and touch on how you're doing that.
Sure. So in 2021, the United States Secret Service completed their threat assessment survey study. It was done by a Dr. Altamari, and it was really comprehensive. And so I went through it, and I saw a stat in there that 94% of the school shooters over the last 12 years posted online what they were going to do before they did it. And that's called leakage. Okay? So when you see the Georgia shooter, the cops talked to him a year before that. No, it wasn't me, and all this. Parkland, Nashville, they put their manifestos out there. So the problem was, when leakage comes out, students don't know how to report it. School administration don't know what to tell the student. and SROs know nothing about cybercrime and leakage. So I take everything together in all four corners of my world, right? My ICAC stuff, training kids, training faculty, training cops. I created a program called Identifying and Intercepting School Violence Through Leakage and Cyber Investigations. That's what it's called. And so I wrote this class. First, it was a 1 day just to tell people what leakage is. Then it was a 2 day. And in all the evaluations, people are saying, I need to do more cases. So now it's a 3 day. So now I'm teaching this 3 day class all over the country. So what it does is that, remember the 5 things we talked about as far as evidence goes? Yep. So I train students, I train the school officials on those 5 things, and law enforcement. These are the 5 things we need in order to get information on who's using the internet, right? So in 1986, the federal government passed the ECPA. It's called the Electronics Communications Privacy Act. And local law enforcement can obtain information from online companies in 4 different ways. Number 1, if the law enforcement agency does a preservation on the account, they can hold the data for 90 days. That's the first thing and the most important thing we can do in an internet investigation is give them a preservation. Number 2, we can do a subpoena on the account, which entitles us to something called non-content related information. Let me just tell you what that is. It's in that flow chart in the orange, right? Yeah. So it's subscriber information with financial data, emails associated to the account, phone numbers associated to the account, devices connecting to the account, any and all IPs for as long as the account has existed, any and all other accounts associated to that account, and then any and all port source information, and then finally, any and all UUID, UDID, or Apple ID and token information. Okay, so that's actually the device that is using that social network to create the threat. So those are 8 pieces of non-content information. Number 3, we can do a search warrant on the account and get everything on the account. And number 4, and this is the main focus of this class, is the exigent circumstance protocol. What it says is when death or great bodily harm is threatened or about to happen, law enforcement can activate and attest to exigent circumstance, which means the social network and the internet service provider will give us that information on who the person is who posted it within 1 hour. So when we invoke exigent circumstance, this is an emergency, I'm doing exigent circumstance, within an hour, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Discord, they're going to tell you all 8 things about that. So when a threat pops off, maybe you shouldn't go to school today, there's going to be hell to pay, right? So we train the students, I need 5 things. I need the screen capture, the user ID, the profile, all that stuff, right? They give it to the school. They give it to the SRO. The SRO comes in. All right, this is all I need for exigent. I'm going to put all that stuff up within an hour. We get the IP. We run the IP in something called MaxMind. MaxMind will tell us what company it is. Is it Comcast? Is it AT&T? Is it whatever? We do an exigent circumstance to them, and then they tell us who the person is. No matter where I'm at, because I train about 4,000 SROs, right, a year. I tell them, I'm your SRO. Whenever you have a case and you need help on it, you call me 24/7. So usually I'll call during the day when I'm teaching. I was like, hey, I'm teaching right now. Do you mind on going on speakerphone and telling everybody what your case is? No problem. Everybody knows that's my deal, right? So I'll put them on speakerphone. All right, tell the class what you got. Well, I just had the synthesized voice came in. They're going to shoot up to school. We got 30 minutes, blah, blah, blah. Where did it come from? It was this number. All right, everybody run the number. Where's it come from? All right, Google Voice. Send an exigent to Google. Everybody sends their exigent to Google. Google gives us the IP where we run the IP and MaxMind. All right, it's Charter. Send your exigent to Charter. And within 2 hours, we find out where it came from.
What's great, too, on top of it, you have a whole classroom full of detectives or police officers, SROs, helping on this case in real time, which is fantastic. That's great.
Here's the problem with school shootings. Most school shootings happen because there's a breakdown in the process. So I've taken all the breakdowns And I shored them up and showed everybody what the breakdowns were so they don't do that. The biggest breakdown, and here's so the people who attend this class are school administration and law enforcement together. Okay? So I'll have the superintendent, the principal, the assistant principal, the deans. The IT people are the most important from the school to attend this class, and social workers. Along with your law enforcement officers, I have all 60 of them in one class, right? Here's the first question I ask. All you SROs, how many of you are sick and tired of being the last one to know and you're left out of any threat that comes to your school? They'll all raise their hand. So your administration is not calling you until they can't handle it? Right. Keep your hands up. School administrators, if you continue to do this, you are going to get kids killed.
Yeah.
So I put them all on the same page. While I was in South Carolina, we had a threat that happened right in there, and we solved it. We tracked it back to Texas within 2 hours, and there was 4 other departments doing it, but we were the first ones because we were on it, right? And we tracked it to this kid, this 20-year-old kid. And he did 4 other ones, and he was arrested for our case that we did. So one of the detectives comes to me at lunchtime because he was in custody by lunch. He shaking his head, man, I have to tell you, every class I go to, it's just about war stories and what some other people did. I have never been to a class where it's been interactive. I actually thought you set that scenario up yourself. I'm like, dude, I've had murders happen. I've had crazy stuff happen, but there's no training like real training.
And even when I went through your class too, Rich, I was astounded on how fast, like when we got into the chat rooms, within seconds, how predators
absolutely
are on there trying to talk to you. I'm not talking minutes, hours. I mean, within, I want to say 15, 20 seconds that they're on there. And that was all real-time training. You taught us how to, get stuff ready for court and all your protocols that we would need as detectives if we were investigating these classes. That's why it was so resourceful, is it was real-time training, and we saw what we were going to need to do to bring the case to a successful conclusion. And if you're able to solve all this stuff, especially in real time, and you're helping while you're in a class, it's like your mini temporary task force, which is even more beautiful. You have all these minds together.
It's so great.
Yeah, that's great. I love it.
So the focus of this class, make no mistake, it's a 3-pronged class. The focus and the main focus is to give that student the mental health help they need before the shooting starts, right? That's the main focus. So once we use all our tools and we find the kid within 2 hours of who it is, there's no need to shut down the school. Because most schools now will just shut down the school, lock it down, and they'll call a SWAT team in and hope for the best for the rest of the day. Now, you have all these kids, especially elementary kids, they're all traumatized from a hard lockdown. When they get trained by us, there's no need to do a lockdown because we've traced it within 2 hours of where it's been. So that's the first focus, because we learned through threat assessment classes, right? Through threat assessment studies, that the school shooter has a fractured upbringing. They've either been emotionally abused, mentally abused, physically abused, or sexually abused in their childhood. And that causes them to be rewired in their brain. They can't get along with anybody, which causes them disdain for everybody else, and then they act out. Okay? So when we know that, they're having a mental health crisis that they're going to shoot up the school. Now, we can never take that lightly, but what's going to dictate whether they're serious or not? Where do our kids hide their deepest, darkest secrets and feelings? In their social media, right? So once we've identified the kid, get them in a safe place, whether it's in a hospital or in custody, now we're going to do a search warrant on their social media, and there we will find all their deepest, darkest secrets and planning. So phase 2 is, once we get them in custody, search warrants on all their social media to see who they're talking to and how they're planning it, right? Once we find out that they posted pictures of weapons and bomb-making materials, phase 3, we're going to do a search warrant on their home for all that stuff, because all those IPs that we got where they're posting it and where they're showing their weapons is coming from their house. Numbers don't lie, right?
Right.
It's 100% that there's a weapon in that house because they posted it from this IP that comes to their house at that date and time. So the third phase is executing search warrants to take those weapons and reevaluate what's going on. And that's how we stop school shootings. Okay.
Wow.
It's from the leakage. Now, it's not only school shootings. Look what happened in New Orleans. That guy had a manifesto, but nobody reported it.
Right.
So you really can't blame anybody, but collectively as a village, right? As an internet village, somebody needs to know how to report this stuff. So let me share my screen one more time.
Yeah, go ahead.
So last year we stopped 56 school shootings last year.
That's a lot.
Yeah. This year, 30. We made 30 arrests. So let me share something with you. These are all my students from this past year. This year, 30 so far, 30 arrests. And a third of them had weapons that they were going to use in their shooting. Okay?
And that's what it's all about, is just pushing the information out and getting people informed on what they could do with this information, to be aware of this information.
Yeah, it's all about the leakage.
Yeah.
So
I know that you're doing good things, and that's why I'm having you on. You helped me, like I said, throughout my career. I remember the lessons that you taught me in your class, and they are legit.
Sure.
So, and finally, where can people find you? I'll put everything down in the description.
Let me share my screen here so everybody can have my stuff. Right. So all you got to do is scan that. You'll get my information. If you go to my website at besureconsulting.com, BESURE consulting.com, my email is richwistocki, WISTOCKI at besureconsulting.com. You can also go to mycybersafeschool.com, where you can book your school stuff. Again, my cell phone number is 630-461-0131, 630-461-0131, and that's the number that's going to come up in the scan.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
Rich, again, thank you for your time. Thank you for the lessons learned. And
Very welcome, brother.
I greatly appreciate your time, and thanks for coming on.